Hey, so y'all listen. Let's get this thing going today. So we want to go ahead and welcome everybody to
Everybody.
episode 2 of the Black Man's
Episode
Locker.
2.
Episode
Welcome,
2.
everybody. Yes,
Everybody,
sir.
welcome everybody. We truly thank everybody that joined us for our first episode. The reception was very well welcomed. A lot of good dialogue, a lot of good conversation, and even after the show, there
Yes.
was a lot of good conversation that was going on with our followers. So we definitely truly appreciate everyone for that. So you have myself here, we got Marlon, we got Norris, and we also got Terry. So how y'all doing, fellas?
We good. We good. What's
Feeling
going
good,
on, fellas?
man. I'm a blessed man. I can't complain.
Can't
Bless man, you
complain.
can't complain. I see you doing some things, Terry.
Man, I'm just trying to let God use me, man. I know I've put a lot of work and a lot of time and effort and energy into
Yeah.
my craft. And
Yeah.
so it's awesome to be able to be an articulate Black man about mental health in this space, to kind of combat some of the stigma we have and just kind of shed some light on some things that we need in the culture, which is mental health. And that's so I'm here for it.
That's true. It's true. What about you, Norris? What you got going on, man?
Today has been a busy day. Normally Sundays for me is 3 services. Literally. I play drums at 1. Then I gotta go to my service, lead praise and worship. And then we have a night service. And then in between the services today, I call her my daughter. I done took her on. Mackenzie Boyd. Shout out to Mackenzie Boyd. She might not see this, but shout out to her. She graduated today from WSU.
Hey.
So
Congratulations.
Big
so we me and the wife and the family, we went and supported her, man, and just doing great things, man. Glad to see these young people doing some great stuff, man, and just blessed to be here, to be able to see it, man. That's the thing. I'm just grateful for being here, bro, for real. So yeah.
What about you, Marlon? What you got going on, man?
Man, just video editing, Jasmine been keeping me busy. Man.
keep you on your toes, man.
Pretty cute. She got more for me. I'm like, okay, but it's an opportunity, working, learning, that type of thing. Just doing what we do on the Black Lives Matter, Black Man's Locker, our
I was
format.
about to say, hold on, which movement we
Hey, hold on.
Hey, them initials is close though, man.
Well, I mean,
I done slipped up and made the post, and I put like BLM, and here come Marlon.
Yeah.
BLM? You mean BML? I was like, oh man, let me fix that real quick.
Switch them joints around, man, and hey, there it is.
There it is,
Sir.
man. So again, man, like we're saying, we definitely thank everybody, man, for tuning in. We thank everybody for the welcome, support. I'm trying to navigate between sharing and talking at the same time, so that's why I'm not looking. But once I get looking, we're gonna get this thing cooking on today, because we got some good stuff to talk about.
Yes, sir.
We got some good stuff to talk about. One, I want to talk. I can't. One of these, I can't wait to talk about. So I might say a couple of names. I might, we might risk it all. I might say a couple of names on here. Some well-known podcasters.
While we at it, let's say what's up to some of the people that's in the comments. Denise Daniels, what's going on? Carlos Henderson, Daquan White.
What's going on, y'all?
Jennifer. Y'all welcome.
Yeah, we appreciate y'all.
Hey, share this mug. Share
some people.
Yeah, invite some folks and share it. Yes, sir. Get this on and cracking.
So I think we're gonna go ahead and get started, man, with our first topic we got here. As soon as I can get this going, there we go. So here we go. We're gonna go ahead and get started with our first topic. So
let's do it.
I think one of the things as Black men that we really talk about a lot is the double standards. Is so many double standards, out there when it comes to Black men, how we move, how we navigate, how we view relationships. So I want to just for us to take some time to really kind of talk about double standards and just some of those that we see out there. I got a couple that I want to name that we can really deep dive into. But if anyone of y'all want to go first, or y'all want me to go first?
Go ahead, brother. You seem real passionate right now.
We coming.
So
go ahead.
So here's one of the double standards, man, that I see. is a lot of times women can have a expectation of they want in a guy from a
Okay.
financial standpoint, to a fitness standpoint, to a height standpoint. But when we as guys, our black men, have standards of what we want, then it's called shaming. Are we being disrespectful because we have a specific perception? So I mean, what are y'all thoughts on that?
Hmm.
As far as the shaming,
Yeah.
body shaming, that's been
Well, I
a
don't even think we're body shaming. I think it's just like, for example, if a guy says, you know what, I don't want a woman that's of a certain size. I want a woman that's petite or a woman that's of a certain thickness. Then it's viewed as,
So what you
well,
trying to
you
say?
just shaming this woman because of X, Y, Z.
mm-hmm.
Who you think you are?
But that's what we get.
Yeah.
So I mean, what are your thoughts on that?
I think we all have preferences. I think there's a lot of the problem is I think the media drives a lot of what we think we want, and a lot of people get locked into what
Exactly.
they hear, and we
Yeah.
get catchy little trend names that kind of throw at
Yeah.
it, shaming or whatever it is. But people have always had preferences of what they like and what they don't like, and I think now we're becoming more health conscious and we're starting to get better understanding of what we should like and what is actually healthy. And so
Right.
I don't think there's anything wrong with preferences, either men towards women or women towards men. But I think,
Mhm.
as we kind of brought up before, there's a lot of characters on both sides that like to push the rhetoric and make us look, demonize what we like.
Right.
Right. I think there's that like a double standard. I see that happens. I told y'all we gonna name drop. So I'm gonna use Lizzo as an example. Right.
Here we go.
So Lizzo, as an example, we know that she's a healthy woman, but she's
Right.
very confident in what she does. When you look at the images she put out there, the videos, the pictures, sometimes she ain't got nothing on. Now that is celebrated.
Mm-hmm.
But let a black man, see, Doris, she already laughing. But seriously, let a brother or a black man of the same size do the same thing. Then it's just, ooh,
He
he
need
need
to
to
put his
cover
shirt
up. He
on.
need to put some clothes on.
Ugh.
And what's crazy is I met a brother when I was on a radio station on 95.3 in Atlanta. He's actually what you would call like a big and tall black man's
Mhm.
model. But he says it's the perception of that is just he even gets told like there's some things he shouldn't do because he's a man of bigger size.
Wow.
But why is that? It's okay for Lizzo to do it, but why is it not okay for a black man to do it?
I think a lot of it, just like what Terry was saying, man. I think a lot of it is social media driven. I
Yeah.
mean, if we just if we keep it a buck, you know, we look at social media, we see it all day, every day. My timeline, I'll just be honest, is filled, with women half naked, nothing on for whatever reason. Somebody will share something or something like that, and you see it, and Cass is, I mean, just swooning, man. I mean, swooning. I can go on TikTok, and there's some people that I know, that are on TikTok, some young ladies, that are like, if you want to call them thick, they thick. Brothers is going ham. I mean, losing their minds behind them, But when you see,
Mhm.
a brother of a bigger stature, you know what I'm saying, it's viewed as, you know, him being gross, or you know, uh, he need to, put his shirt on. He need to do this. He need to do that. You know what I'm saying? And I think a lot of that has been driven by social media, and not just social media, just regular media stuff that we see, on TV. It's been driven, to a point where women have been pushed to celebrate who they are wherever they are.
Yeah.
And so, I'm a woman, and I could possibly be, a woman that is of healthy stature for whatever reason, but you a woman, you celebrate that. And there are other women that will literally rally behind that woman and
Mhm.
push her. You know, if y'all hear my dog, I'm sorry.
You touching the soft spot.
He's wild, man. He need prayer. So y'all
I
pray
guess
for my dog.
I guess he got something to say too.
He need the Holy Ghost. That's what he need. But he needs the Holy Ghost. But like I said, you know, you have you know, women that could be of bigger stature, and hundreds upon hundreds of other women, man, will back her. You know, be proud of who you are. Be proud of your size. Be proud of this. Be proud of that. But I think where we have failed as men is that when we see a brother that does that, we don't really back him. You know, we just kind of go on about
True.
our way.
It's
You know
true.
what I'm saying? That brother could be big, you know, whatever, man, and you know, showing out, man, doing his you know, whatever, man, dancing and dropping to a whole full split. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it could be anything, you know, and ain't no brothers rallying behind him.
I don't know
Yeah.
You
about
know,
this, so
they ain't rallying. You know what I'm saying? And so I think, you know, that's driven, um, you know, as far as, you know, gender. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know, the women is gonna back them women. They're gonna do that, man. And there are some just kind of dependent. Okay, we name dropping, I guess. So we can look at Sexy Red. Go look at her. Now we know right now she's with
You see my face.
she with child. You know what I'm saying, and everything else on stages doing what she do. The majority of women that I've seen on her posts, girl, you better go on and get it. Girl, you know, I mean, like backing her. But then you have some that are just like, what is she doing? You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
And honestly, you know, I think it's a matter of preference. You know, it's a matter of preference, what you prefer. And that's just kind of how it goes. That's kind of how it goes, man. You know, I don't see, and I don't want to, you know, just keep on going in. I don't see there being a change in that area. I think it's just something that you just kind of have to just chalk up to life, man. And
Yeah.
just, you know what? At the end of the day, this is who I am, whether you like me or not. I could be a big old, you know, sloppy, you know, brother. And if I take my shirt off, you don't like it, man. It is what it is. Live with it. You know what I mean?
Mhm. And I think one of the reasons why I wanted us to really to touch on that is because this is something that when you look at a lot of posts on social media, when it involves, you know, relationships and standards, that's one of the things that we see as black men is the double standards. So it's, you know, when we desire certain things as black men, or we say certain things, you know, like for example, a brother can say, "Well, I only want a woman who makes six figures."
Mm-hmm.
Well, if he was to say that, oh, you mooching.
True.
True though. Oh, that's just mooching. But
Oh man. Oh
what if
man.
that's my standard as a black man? That's what I want. Or it could be. It was one video I seen where a brother was talking about, and I can't remember what show that was on, but see, he said he doesn't want a woman with any kids, but the woman was coming at him because he was raised by a single parent mother. But what if that's just what if that's his standard? What if that's what he desires? He has himself at a certain level. What if that's what he wants?
It's
You
a
know?
matter of preference. It's a matter of
Exactly.
preference.
Yeah.
Exactly.
At the end of the day,
You think
when all is said and
part of
done,
what that is?
yeah.
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Mitch.
No, I was just saying, when all is said and done, that's what it is. It's a matter
Mhm.
of preference. If a brother doesn't want a woman, you know, if he wants to be involved with a woman, but he doesn't want her to have children or whatever, or he wants her to make, you know, XYZ or whatever the case may be is. And you as a woman, you know, you might not want a brother with kids. You might not want a brother,
Right.
you know, to be making less than what you're making or whatever, you know. Um, it's a matter of preference. And my thing is this: if that's your preference, rock with that. Stand
Stand
10
on
toes on your
10
preference.
toes down.
Stand 10 toes on your preference. Because at the end of the day, nobody is going to be able to make you happy. You know what I'm saying? In that arena, except I mean, you know who you pick. I mean, you're ultimately in charge of your own destiny in that regard.
Facts.
But I will say this though. Don't put all of your eggs in that particular basket, because this is what I've learned in life. What we may prefer is not always what we need.
Oh, we
Amen.
need a bell on that. We need an alarm on that right there.
sometimes, sometimes the thing that we prefer is the thing that is going to bring us the most grief, because we're not looking at it from the eye, from the eyes of, how this thing is going to play out later, or you know what I'm saying, how this thing could turn up, at a later point in life. Brothers, just because she look good, she got that 36, 24, 36, and she doing everything else, don't mean that she the right one for you.
Right.
She might be she might be a 42, 36, whatever. You know what I'm saying? But as long as that person is doing the things that you need, don't always ride on that.
Yeah.
Right.
Don't always ride on it.
Hey, I wanted to throw these other stereotypes out there. I wanted to give Marlon a chance to kind of add to this, but I definitely wanted to talk about some of the other stereotypes about Black men being deadbeat fathers,
Oh yeah.
being dangerous criminals,
Man.
being hypersexual,
Come on.
either athletic, uncivilized, uneducated, violent, being labeled gangsters or players. These are some of the ones we also have to talk about as well, and get some kind of dialogue going about that. But I wanted to throw out there to you, Marlon, and see if you wanted to throw something out there before I get going on that.
I will say this. It's not just with relations. I think as far as men and women, there are like completely different ways of living. I've said this before. I wish that somebody would just sit there. I think there needs to be a collective of people that just decides to say, you know what, either we are going to go straight across the board, or we're going to have these differences, because there are differences. Like, I was actually just on fan base this past Friday, just chopping it up, and they were talking about the whole thing with Diddy and everything that's going on. And I'm not going to go too deep into that, because that is a deep situation. And I definitely send energy to anyone who's ever been affected by anything like that. Yeah. But I commented, like, because it was like they were naming a lot of celebrities, and I kind of gave my 2 cents. I said, okay, you guys are so concerned about the Diddy's and the R. Kelly's of the world. I don't think my daughter. There's a low percent chance that my daughter will ever encounter any of these men, even in their heyday. However, let's talk about the average of 3 male students that are sexually assaulted at high schools every year by female teachers. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about, how everyone talks about that uncle that has to sit in the back of grandma's house, but nobody talks about the aunt that so quick to take the boys over to her house to spend the weekend so mom can go to a club. No one talks about that kind of stuff. I mean, that's just me being me. I mean, it's like even there was this whole thing with MC Light. She has a song called "Too Young for What," where she's basically laying it out. She made it when she was 21. The album came out when she was 21, because according to women that are defending her, she wrote it when she was 16, even though none of them knew her back then. I don't know how they knew that information, but the song's called "Too Young for What." Go look it up. It's a very disgusting song. I'm not even gonna lie. Even me, I listen to a lot of raunchy stuff, but that was just, But anyway, but it was back in the day. You know what I'm saying? There was a lot of stuff out there, a lot of content. I'm not judging her, but the fact that if it's like it was so many women defending her. Like, oh, she's 50 years old. That's old. But Bill Cosby, 1 foot in the grave. You know what I'm saying?
Bruh.
You just said something.
I think those conversations get diluted, because I think we, first of all, when you start naming off celebrities and stuff, people have their preferences, and people get locked into who these celebrities are instead of really pulling it back and saying, this is the issue. The issue is hypersexualizing, young people. We see it in our videos. And that's the conversation we need to be having. But we get so lost and get pulled into these rabbit holes about what this celebrity is doing, what this celebrity over here is doing,
Mm-hmm.
the male. And then you had another element to that is if they're male or if they're female. And that's a whole nother element to it that people love to hop on itself. So, but the real issue is how we're dealing with each other, how the youth are being handled
Right.
by these pedophiles, because that's what it is. It's a pedophilia type of nature and spirit that is going for our young people, whether it's a female digging back for younger males, and we're starting to see that. We've seen a lot of that, but it gets
Yes.
kind of pushed to the
Mm-hmm.
background, or it's
And
the,
see, it's
or the
not just
older
young
male.
kids. You know, I got a homeboy now that has one child, and it was because he was drunk and a girl decided to sleep with him while he was drunk. He was passed out. You know, back in the day, we thought it was funny, but now that I'm older, I'm like, yo, bro, that's messed up. You know, like 'cause he was drunk,
Mm-hmm.
didn't know what he was doing. She was sober enough to know what she was doing. We're adults,
Yeah.
and you know, when once it all came to, and people started kind of figuring it out, it was like, so what? You wanted it because you was a wreck. I'm like, you know, you obviously don't know a man's body. You know what I'm saying? So you know, and bro, to this day, he's like he doesn't want no kids, no more kids. He's doing what he has to do for his daughter because it's not her fault. But you know, at the same time, he was just like, I
But
mean,
that right there, that's another way of how like trauma is created.
right,
Because his perception now, from when that happened, his trust in women could be misconstrued,
it,
and
mhm,
when women, and this is just to talking to women right now, you have to understand that a lot of brothers have been through a lot of stuff and things that they haven't dealt with um, through therapy. Because again, this is new for black men to really start diving into therapy and overcoming certain things, but there's a lot of trauma that happens with that, and that's happened more than we talk about,
Absolutely.
especially in our community. We don't talk about that enough. Of where young boys,
right.
young teenage boys, are are molested by grown women.
You ain't even got teenagers. You could be in your preteens.
Yeah.
Let's just. I mean, hey, I mean, if we're gonna be honest, let's be
Yeah,
honest. You
I
know,
mean, you look at it like, I mean, my whole thing is always, and I'm not condoning any of this. I don't want anybody to be like, oh, he's condoning. No, I
no,
don't, bro. I
no,
got
not at all.
kids, family, cousins, little cousins, bro. It's all bad. Even back when I was young, I knew, it was more normal when I was younger. When we were teenagers, it was more normal for something like that. And if you go back further, it was more for. My only thing is, it needs to be straight across the board. You know what I'm saying? If somebody does, I mean, if a man's even hinted at something, it was like, this, like, for instance, another thing was Melissa Ford said some stuff about Cameron on
yes,
Joe Budden podcast.
yes,
You know,
not too long
Cameron
ago.
and Mace, which they have an incredible podcast, sports podcast. They talk about some of the old stuff. Mace is, he's of the cloth in some ways, and
Yeah.
there's some things he won't allow, some things he'll let go.
Yeah.
And
Office. Yeah, some
they
cloth.
talked about them being in like a whorehouse when they were like younger, in
Yeah,
like '92, and I guess Melissa Ford and Joe Budden, then when they were talking about it, and she immediately made an allegation that they were in a whorehouse with underage girls.
Yeah,
not
that's
knowing
And
that they were underage though.
right, they were underage, and the crazy thing about it is, like, I don't think people understand how dangerous that can be. But see, like, if that was
Mm-hmm.
other way around, where like Mace would have been like, yeah, Melissa Ford was in
Man,
a whorehouse with women, would have been coming at him.
We've been cutting his
Like,
head off.
you know what I'm
Now,
saying? I mean, it's just, to me, it needs to be straight across the board. I'm not condoning any of it, but if we're gonna put this person in, it's just like with cocaine back in the day, cocaine versus crack. You know what I'm saying? It needs to be straight across the board. Now, you get more time for crack than you do for cocaine. You know what I
agreed.
mean?
we know what that we know what
Lock
that
them
had an
all up. Let's
agenda.
go.
That
But
had an agenda. So
yeah.
I
that's
really, I mean, it's more. It's way more than that. I mean, like, so many double standards that divide us, and men are starting to kind of wake up and realize, hold up. How you gonna talk about me when this is going on and this is going on? Then it's like, that's different. That's not the same. Like,
Mm-hmm.
talking about financial goals. We're not in the '60s no more. We're in 2023.
Right.
Inflation and stuff. Everybody needs to work. Everybody needs to get money. You know what I'm saying? Like, me, I'm being 100. It's
You
just
are,
like,
man.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, we can build this empire together easier if we both are putting in on it instead of, you know what I'm saying, me sitting there slaving on. And I don't know any woman in her right mind that will want her man to purposely sit there and be that guy, you know, that's working 12 hours a day, come home, sleep for 2 hours, get up, cut the grass. You know, I mean, I don't know anybody like that. We got all types of devices and stuff like that, you know. But anyway, that's kind of veering. But I just feel like we really need to, like I've said this before, we need to sit down as a collective, Black people, men and women, and we need to really discuss this because it's getting overlooked and people are using this stuff to get hype. Like, I don't even think people that on social media care about this stuff. No, they just kind of blast just to be blasting it. You know what I'm saying? A lot of these movements don't even care.
For likes
You
and
know,
clicks.
and they hype it up because it was of a feminist movement. And I'm not trying to down my ladies, but it gets hyped up so bad to the point where, like, we're afraid to be men. You know, you go to, you know, single men out here, I'm talking all the time, they go to little social events, they're afraid to talk to women now. You know what I'm saying?
I think, man, what it is, I feel like how some things are set up is to censor Black men. Now, we're not going to be censored, I can tell you that. We're going to talk.
Right. We're going to talk.
But when we think of what happened with DJ Academics, now, DJ Academics, he's have said some crazy stuff about some people, but we know the most recent situation that has happened with what's Saucy Santana.
Yeah, he's gonna get his hair whooped.
But DJ Academic said, like, he can't respond because he's in fear of being, you know, canceled. Like, he can't defend himself and check, you know, Saucy like he want to because he's in fear of what that's going to do to his brand. So we're in a space now, you know, where we thought Black men couldn't open up and be honest. But now when you look at media from a standpoint, when things happen like that, it's like he can't even say nothing.
He's Jamaican too, so I know that burned his soul.
Hold on. And I agree with that. But here's something else, though, in regard to that. In some ways, shape, or form, because I'm just thinking about this particular situation that you're talking about with Saucy and DJ Academics. At some point, man, you got to take accountability. Yeah. You can't just be running your mouth out here, man, not in social media nowadays, running your mouth about folks and expecting for people to just sit back and just lay in the cut and not have any kind of response, especially if he is, you know, one of the people that, he instigated the issue of homosexuality. And he has this backing. You're not going to be able to say a whole lot to that brother or about him and not expect any kind of backlash. Take accountability. We all know Academics. I'm not saying that, you know, he does everything wrong, but Academics sometimes puts his own foot in his mouth.
True.
So as a Black man, you need to be careful.
Yeah, because when he came for Erykah Badu, he got checked real quick.
That's what I'm saying. When you put your mouth on folks, bro, you got to be careful about what it is you're saying and who you're saying it about, because a lot of these people have a huge following. And if you're not ready for that smoke, don't light that fire. Right. Don't light it.
He came for some Black women. He came for some Black women about a week ago, and he got the rap real quick. He was talking about you don't look good because you ain't got a BBL or something crazy like that.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
And like Black women was like, oh no, you know, so that was like, you know, like that was a collective.
Look, we gonna save the BBL conversation for a whole nother.
No. I ain't trying to go deep
because we can talk about that because the BBL's killing y'all.
Man. Let's get in the gym, man. Get in the gym and squat that thing out. I promise you it works.
Because some of us like it like that, like the way it is.
but truthfully speaking, this is being real. I know guys that are in relationships with women who have paid money to do, you know, those surgeries and have those things done. But those guys don't plan on marrying none of those women.
See, that's
Those are
not.
just toys.
That's not.
That's heavy.
It's just pleasure in a toy.
Yeah.
They're not taking her to mama's house. They're not taking her, you know, down the aisle. But like I said, we'll save that conversation for another day. But one of the things that Terry had mentioned about some of the standards and things that are said out there about black men, and I'm a person who like to do research and I like to look up stuff. And Terry said something about one of the statements that is being said that black men are not, involved as far as fathers goes.
Yeah.
We have the highest rate of not being involved. Well, I decided to go ahead and do a little research. And according to CBS News, black dads are more involved in children's lives than any other ethnic group.
Yeah.
Wow.
So we could go ahead and put that to rest, that black men are not involved in their children's lives.
I'm just saying, because you go down to the football fields here in Wichita alone, you see mad black fathers out there and stuff like that. You go to these basketball games and stuff like that, man. These brothers is out there. Whenever I do go to my daughter's little events, man, it be crazy men up in there, man. Fathers, stepfathers, grandfathers. It's a confusing statistic to even put out there. And it's a horrible narrative to carry on because when you hear people say that, whether they black, white, male, female, it's very, very disheartening. Because I know I'm not a perfect dad, but damn, my kids is always gonna be my hearts, and I could never abandon them. So I think that's the craziest thing they even put out there.
And like we know, there's always two sides to every story. Now, granted, there are some, there are fathers out there that just not involved like they're supposed to be. That's true. But, some children and some people we probably grew up around didn't know the full story.
Right.
And a lot of times it wasn't that the father didn't want to be around. The father just didn't want the mama.
Man, that's like the
whole session by itself. Let me also add another one. There's also a that shows that same thing, Ty, that black fathers are more involved in their white counterparts and other ethnicities. That is a CDC study statistic. I think it's 2018. Yes. And so, I do my study on that as well. The narrative has always been pushed like that. And one of the conversations that I had, one of the interviews with a host, she was actually she was a mother, and she was able to kind of talk about what her son was going through with his baby mother, ex-wife, as they were starting to kind of part ways. And that is another trauma that we have to start talking about, is what happens when the parents start getting petty, they start getting nasty, and it's the woman that's keeping the son away from the father because she doesn't like the way things were handled. You don't see that a whole lot with the fathers keeping the kids away from the mother, but I'm sure it happens somewhere. But that is something that you see in the, working in child welfare. That's something that I've seen quite a bit, and something that I've experienced as a father is what happens when the female is keeping the child away from the father for whatever reasons, and having to go into the court system that may be biased against him, and him getting custody of the kids is something that definitely has to be continue to talking about. So that is a trauma that a lot of black men are facing and dealing with, is what happens when the mom keeps the kid,
That's a very dangerous game to play, ladies.
I think as black men, though, I think what we need to do in that regard, man, is, if we know somebody that's going through that, young brother, we need to step up, man, and we need to really try to coach them and rally them through. You know what I'm saying? Especially if you are somebody that has been through. You know what I'm saying? If you've ever dealt with that, you have some type of knowledge or something that you can pass on to that young brother. You know what I'm saying? To try to help him to navigate through it, man, because the courts is a beast. And from personal experience, if you don't have any real knowledge of laws and certain things, man, and you go to that courthouse, bro, and you don't have a lawyer and you represent yourself, man, you will come in, you'll come out on the short end, bro.
Big time.
Out
big time.
on the short end. So
And that's
One
one of the things
thing,
I was mentioning to them as well, is proper documentation is one of the things
absolutely,
I mentioned. Because
absolutely.
if it's not documented, it didn't happen. And regardless of what she says to you on the phone, if she's keeping you from visits
Document it, man.
from that child, document it. And as hard as it is, sometimes we have to become better at documenting those type of situations. And I know there's a lot of moms out there that are screaming that these guys don't want to be part of their kids' lives. But we're talking to the brothers that are actually dealing with this type of situation.
Yeah.
Document. And Norris, you just touched on something that's huge, the support. We need our village.
Yes.
Those brothers need
Village.
support.
Gotta
They
have a
need
village.
love. They need guidance and wisdom because they will mess around and do something and get pushed into a place where if they don't have good coping skills and they don't have wisdom on what to do, they will make a bad decision and end up in the system off of
Absolutely.
one situation. Off of one
That's
situation.
all it takes. One situation in a few minutes. And
I just hate the jealousy of it. I mean, because relationships work and sometimes they don't. You know, that's just what it is. One of my
Yeah.
partners, he had to sneak and basically be in his kids' lives through his mama. You know, I mean, I always thought I found that kind of weird and dumb. You know, just I mean, Christmases, he had to like, go over there for an hour or two, because in case the mama came by and tried to take the grandma away from the kids and things like that. And he got to the point where his kids, once they became teenagers, he just told them the truth, like, look, your mama don't want me near y'all because I don't want to be with her, and he started showing receipts and her saying, well, if we can build our family back up, then maybe we can, that type of thing. And I think that's wild. That's like some of the craziest thing you hear brothers go through that all the time. Oh man, my baby mom won't let me see my kid unless I give her $500. That type of that's like, man,
They
that
just using the kid as a pawn at that
be
point.
illegal for
That's a
real.
sad, that's a
well,
sad
on both sides, man. I mean, if we all be honest, man, people can't take rejection. That's rejection in
Oh
their,
yeah,
you know what I'm saying? And because we can even go even further, man. That one particular instance that they may be dealing with concerning their, their child's father, or their child's mother, may be, something that um, just taps on the root of them dealing with rejection all their lives, and they don't know how to handle it.
childhood issues.
Right. You know what I'm saying? Because if we just look at it, man, there's a root to a lot of this stuff, and
Absolutely.
a lot of it stems, from childhood, and just to touch on something that we was talking about earlier. A lot of us grew up, man, in the era of, you know, because Marlon had mentioned, he was talking about, the aunties and the uncles and different stuff like that, man. We grew up in the era, man. What go on in this house, stay in this house. You better not tell nobody,
Yeah.
because you're not
Yeah.
gonna make my family, our family, look crazy. You know what I'm saying? So what we'll do is we know as a family, he a little touched. He ain't really got no reason. He ain't got no business being around, no little girls in the family, or she a little touch. She ain't really got no reason to be around no little boys in the family. You know what I'm saying? But because they family folks let their guard down, the next thing you know, something that happened to that child, and that child is traumatized, man, for the rest of their life. And then they end up seeing that person, man, as they get older. You know what I'm saying? And stuff just don't it never sets right. But then what they do is they take that trauma into their relationships.
Oh, you preach now.
Man, so
Trust factors,
so
all kinds of things, man, that they deal with. You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
We see it a lot. I've seen it a lot in foster care. Marlon, you can attest to this. When you have young children that have been, molested or whatever the case is, man, the hypersexual thing that they have, man, is crazy, because that's what they've been on. So
Yeah.
they carry that into their adult life, and then they get with people. Things don't work out because they're still operating in that mode of what it is that they were dealing with as a child. And then again, like I said, going back to, you don't say, you better not tell nobody what go on in here.
Yeah.
So
It's a place of
so
trauma too.
And you carry that trauma because you didn't have nobody to talk to.
so I'll add to that. And this is probably my really first time, being open in a public and really talking about this is, when I was 12, you know what I'm saying? situation happened with an adult female, and I was 12. And I don't fault my parents. I've never faulted my parents because my parents, they were always welcoming to where I could bring anything to their attention. I talked to them about anything, so I've never fought them. But it was the grooming that took place, to where grown men don't tell secrets. Big men don't talk about what's going on.
Yeah.
You want to be a big man. You want to be a big man, don't you?
Yeah.
So it was the grooming, and like you said, those type of things go into your relationships.
Yeah.
So when you think about it, like when I think about my early 20s
It's a part of it.
relationships, I was quick to cut somebody off. Quick. Move on to it's quick. And it's the fear of rejection set in.
There it is.
So I always felt that need to want to be accepted. And I think this probably surprised Marlon, when I told him about some of the stuff, that I've been through, but it's always that need to feel accepted by people because, I had that fear of rejection that set in. So truthfully speaking, when young children, young teenagers, boys or girls go through those things, as families, we have to create a safe space. We can't have that in our culture that, you don't say nothing, you be quiet. We keep that in the house, because that's the
It's
worst thing that
killing
you
our
can ever do
families.
to a child.
Killing it.
That's killing our families. I think you said something that's vitally important. I think we have to have a conversation about that too. Is as parents, we need to start having conversations with our kids about this. And
Yeah.
because some of
Yes.
us have gotten so busy working 2 and 3 jobs, we're not really paying attention to what's going on in our kids' lives. And I think first of all,
Mhm.
you have to create a bond with your child. Once you create a bond with your child, then you're able to have those type of conversations. But if you don't have a bond with your child, you're not going to be able to have conversations with them about those type of intimate things that are happening
Yeah.
because you don't have any foundation with that child. That what happens in this state house stays in this house is something that we know as far as our culture, but it's also something that I know for a fact that's killing some of our families. Is because
Yeah.
Hmm.
what
I
happens
will
when
say this about that rule. Um, See, here's the thing. A lot of people, I want people to understand, like with me, I think the way I do because of the way I was raised. We had that same saying, but at the same time, my family, we dealt with things in house too.
See, that's the
Hmm.
thing.
We didn't do a lot of police calling. You
Right.
know, cats got dealt with,
Yeah.
like severely, and it wasn't a game. So, I mean, I think every woman that I'm related to within my circle, at least on my mother's side, can attest to that. They have no fear of a man ever putting. That's why when I would hear things like when black women are in danger, they need protection. I'm like, what dude y'all around? What dude y'all got around to where you need that
Hmm.
protection? Because I know if my cousin called me, let's go. Where's he
Right.
at?
Right.
Right.
Let me go holler at this cat real quick. That's just how it goes down. But I just it's really disheartening to see that we just kind of get overlooked with all that. Just like you were talking, Tyrese. I mean, I wasn't quite there with you, but I was there as far as the women I would choose. Back in the day,
Mm.
and I was like, looking back on it, like I actually went. I had to apologize in my heart. I had to reach out to like two different females I dealt with in the past, and I had to apologize to them. You know what I'm saying? Because I was like thinking
Yeah.
about just having a conversation with some homies and just reminiscing about back in the days, them dorm antics and just wilding out. I was like, damn, I was a mess. So I had to go and just be a man and say,
Yeah.
look, I don't know how I know you moved on, but this ain't me coming on to you, but I really want to apologize to you for the way
On
I
the
came.
style.
I
Yeah.
brought
On the
any type of
style.
mental stress on you or anything that brought you. I'm sorry. I was young and dumb, and we good now. And some people we good. Some like they accepted it and just moved on with life, and some like oh we can be cool.
But you
It's all
go, you
good.
grew and learn from that.
But
Right?
you know,
Because I would not want my daughter to ever go through them like that. But at the same time, it's like I don't want my sons to be like that. I don't want my sons to be out there like that. You know what I'm saying?
And what's crazy, I think when you mention that, one of the things that was told to me in reference to dealing with my son, I'm protective over my daughter. She already knows her daddy is crazy. Uh, but when it comes to my son, like because of what I encountered at one phase of my life. Like my son was 12. Like, and it was my wife, she pointed it out to me, like, you treat him like he 8. Why are you so overprotective? Like I'm like, my son going to we in a restaurant, he going to the bathroom. I'm like, wait a minute, he been in there too long. What's going on? She like, no, it's like, what's wrong with you? But of course, going through therapy and working through
Yeah.
those things, it was that fear that what I encountered at a young age is my son going to counter that.
Yeah.
So I was really,
Yeah.
I was, you know what I'm saying? I was really, really worried about that as a parent. So, like you said, Marlon, we can't overlook the young boys. We have to have those conversations with our daughters, but also our sons just as well.
Absolutely.
You know, just to make sure, that, they know when they being touched the wrong way.
Yeah.
By a woman or even a man. You know what I'm saying? We have to
That's
have
right.
those necessary conversations.
Yeah.
Um,
Let
Can I
me
put a resource out there real quick for
come on, bro.
parents?
Come on.
yeah, go ahead, Terry.
So Josh Shipp is a youth speaker. He actually is a speaker. He was the #1 youth speaker in the nation. He has a platform where he speaks to youth, and there's resources on his website that parents can go and find about how to talk to your kids about those type of sensitive topics. And there's also there's a lot of parenting resources on his website. Again, that's Josh Shipp, 2 P's.
Josh Shipp. Okay.
Josh Shipp. And so he has a lot of resources on there that parents can get to start talking to their kids about those type of sensitive areas and how they can further develop a bond and answer some of the parenting questions. So I teach a lot of parenting classes and that type of stuff. And so that's one of the resources I want to throw out there to my parents real quick.
That's good, dude.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Good stuff.
I just wanted to read a couple of comments because the comment side has been on fire. And so I just want to read a couple of them and then we can, segue into the next segment of it. Before I do this though, in regard to what Marlon was saying, because I had to do the same thing. As I got older, I began to be convicted about some of the things that I had done.
Yeah.
I think that oftentimes as men, we don't even really think of how what we do has affected a person. You know what I'm saying? Like we can literally be an addition to the trauma if we're not careful by how we handle people. You know what I'm saying? And so in that regard, as far as talking to our sons, I think that there's something else that needs to be put on the table. You might not necessarily know, what this young lady is going through. So you need to try to treat her as best as you can at all times.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? Be the man that you are supposed to be, young man, whatever the case. And hey, if you got some issues, man, I'll help you navigate through it. But what we don't want to do is we don't want to be the people that add on to the trauma of some other young woman because of the excuse, this is how we are, or understand this is my daddy was like this. You know what I'm saying? I mean,
right.
we can take on a whole lot and say a whole lot, but at the end of the day, man, this is what I've learned. The way that your dad is and the way that you are does not have to be the same.
Absolutely.
Because you're two totally different people. Yes, you have his DNA. And yes, you might have ways like him. You might do, little quips and quirks, like he has, but you don't have to be the, what I'm saying, the replica of him. At the end of the day, you are your own man and you have your own fingerprint. If there's something that hasn't been done, you do it. Terry, I mean, he can attest to that. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Sometimes you have to be the originator, or you have to be the person.
You got to break the cycle.
You got to break it.
Break the cycle.
At the
end of the day, bro, you got to break the cycle, and that's the perfect way to put it. You got to break the cycle.
No
Let me
excuse.
read somebody. Go ahead, bro.
No, I was just saying, no excuses. You onto something.
Let's read. Let's read.
You have to be the one.
And that's another topic for another day. So we need to make sure we write that down. Some of the comments, man, that was made. Lisa McDaniel Henderson. Trauma is definitely an issue for a lot of Black men, but she poses a question: but why won't they seek help as adults?
We are.
I think we are, but I would say this, and y'all, tell me if I'm wrong. I think that there are some men, and I won't even say a lot. No, I will say a lot. I think that there are a lot of men that won't seek help, man, because of their pride. It's a pride issue for them.
Pride issue is one.
That's one.
But also you got pride issues. You have knowledge of therapy, the process of how to do that, how to find the right therapist. 3, you got family belief system that you don't talk to nobody about your stuff. You just go to church and pray about it.
Just go and pray.
Then you got 4. You got 4, which this is one that we probably haven't touched on yet. But some people's trauma bring them attention, which is true.
Yeah.
Oh, love it. They love the drama.
The
drama brings the drama.
That comes from the trauma.
The trauma
they're not going to change their ways.
Yeah. Now that's true.
You got to come back, Ty. You got to say some more about that.
Man.
That's really tough, though.
That's that sympathy. Sympathy will get
right,
you
because when you think about some guys who go through trauma, they'll find the man. I'm about to. It's all right. Sorry, fellas, but I'm about
put
to
it out there. Because I know where you're going.
The right, caring woman.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's right, caring, kind, most sensitive woman, and use your trauma to get everything you want to pull from her.
Yeah.
And then you break her down.
You find the next
one.
Move on
to the next.
You find the next one. Absolutely
can't
right.
turn a bad girl good, but if a girl's gone bad, she's gone forever.
Man, listen.
That's it.
Hey, yeah, we're gonna have to come back and talk on that one. Okay, yeah. Shay Brinkley says one reason that maybe, and I think she's talking about just men, maybe the double standards. One reason maybe is because sex for men is typically celebrated. They don't even know that they've probably experienced trauma, so they don't associate it with their current behavior.
I can agree with that.
That's a valid point, but I also would say this, because at a certain point in time, it depends on where you're going with that some groups and some environments that is celebrated. For a while, the numbers that men would have was celebrated. But I think we have to put that in proper context and say that having multiple sexual partners doesn't benefit anybody.
Right.
It doesn't benefit anybody, men or women, even though there's a double standard with that, with the women part of that. But I've not seen very few men that have had multiple numbers of women that have been able to sit down and have a functional, healthy relationship, because they're constantly picking and choosing and trying to duplicate a Frankenstein relationship from all these partners that they've had.
Yeah. We talking, bro.
We talking.
So they want the love.
This ain't Build a Bear.
No. But you take a little bit from this woman and a little bit from that woman. You take a little bit from that woman and a little bit from that woman, and you try to incorporate it. You know what I'm saying?
That's why we see
expectations. And it just don't work like that.
That's why we
either you go into that comparison when you're trying to compare.
Yeah.
Well, she don't do it like such and such did it. Yeah. So I really ain't feeling that piece. Oh, but she got what such and such did. Okay, so I can get with that. But her attitude quite like this one. So I can't get with that. You start getting into that comparison mode.
And I think
what did you say, Marlon? Oh, I'm sorry.
I was gonna say, that's why when you see a lot of infidelity that goes on between men and women, there's always that one. They got the one female that they will beg and plead with, please come back to me if he get caught up, and then the rest of them is kind of there. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's like, it's weird. Like bro, you had her. I got too many homeboys that then messed up some good women. Like for real, I got a couple homeboys I don't even talk to no more because I'm like, bro, you a straight womanizer. I can't even deal. I can't in good conscience. We raising kids, man. I got daughters, man. I can't have my babies around you. You out here,
That's an
that's
immature
what you got for your
mindset.
sons.
So question, fellas, real quick, just to switch gears, y'all think we can hit these
Yeah,
last two topics?
we 55 minutes in already, man. On just one topic.
Let's go for it. Let's go for it.
We all right.
So let's talk about this one. Are social media relationship podcasters, influencers, destroying the fabric of Black relationships, and what does this mean for Black love?
Uh-oh.
Okay.
Oh Lord.
Let me throw something out there real quick. I think there's a lot of people who are attempting to get paid off the hype and trend of relationships. Whatever is exciting.
Relationships make money. Relationship talks make money.
The relationship drama makes even more money.
Boom.
That's it.
And so they want to be attached to what's fun, what's hype, what's in trending, and they want to have their face attached to it because there is some dollars that are attached to that. However, what happens is they're putting all this reckless rhetoric out there, and people are taking that as truth and messing up their relationships. It's easy to trash out there when you don't have to deal with the consequences of the information that you've given. Go ahead, Ty.
So I'll talk about a specific influencer. I'm not going to say his name, but just remember he was holding hands with his wife on the couch with a tight maroon sweater on. But
I almost said his name.
But when you look at his social media path, his social media path was just about posting pictures. He was doing modeling, no likes whatsoever. But the moment he started talking about relationship stuff that us as Black men should be doing,
thousands,
likes started going up.
Thousands.
By the thousands. Although he was talking about stuff he wasn't doing, but that's a whole nother subject. But that's just a prime example of relationship talk draws women in. When you think of a lot of these podcasters, and it's a lot of that dialogue is really about what Black men should be doing and what Black men ain't doing. And then you got your amen corner, and they just celebrating. Some of that stuff is wrong. Some of them be off.
Wrong.
Hold on. Hold on. Think like a man. Hold on. Think like a man.
That's one too.
Because you done went from having a decently fruitful career to superstardom off of a book that thousands of women purchased. And I'm going to follow these rules because he said it. Looking at his marriage, but not knowing the history.
That's good.
You're not knowing the history because you're looking at the right now, not understanding that ain't been squeaky clean.
Yeah.
But see, that's the thing. Huh?
I'll say, and what's crazy with a lot, if you really take away all the theatrics, the voice inflection that a lot of these podcasters use and all this yelling and screaming they doing, they really not saying nothing.
Nothing of substance.
Also
put that confirmation bias out there too, Ty. You also have to hold the person accountable because there's such thing as confirmation bias, which is people have the tendency to gravitate and seek out information that's going to pretty much confirm their thoughts and ideology and certain viewpoints. So if you're not careful and you're not really seeking information, you're not really open-minded to information that goes against your ideology, then you're going to go gravitate towards speakers and towards commentators, podcasts, or what have you. That's gonna confirm your negative bias thought process, whether that's wrong or right. So I think you have to be in the mindset of I'm going to accept accountability when I hear something that's true that goes against my beliefs about Black men or Black women, and then be honest about what am I going to do about trying to fix that.
Yeah.
Hey, 2000, we got enough time to keep going?
Yeah, we did.
Answers.
Okay,
well, we pay for this. We unlimited.
Boom, there we go.
People are looking for answers, man. People are looking
but I tell a lot of women, all the time that people like the man you mentioned and other men like him, they're the worst of us all. They're like, they're the worst. They're the one. That's high key simping. That's dirty macking. These are the cats that. I mean, I'm gonna be real with you, bro.
I ain't heard that in a long time.
No, that's straight up. That's what it is. Like you'll sit there and tell these women what they want to hear, and then they come to your meetings and you trying to sleep with them and mess with them and doing all types of stuff. And and it's like meanwhile you got your wife at home in a real toxic environment. I would never do that to a woman ever. Like have her like going crazy. She going to church almost like she's possessed or something, trying to save her marriage when the marriage is doomed. You know what I'm saying? Then when thank God she kind of saw it and was like, yo, that it ain't like, and there's women out there too that sit there and tell women stuff like that about how men ain't nothing and this, that, and the other, and you shouldn't trust men. But once the camera go off, they go right in the room and hug their man, and you know what I'm saying?
Be with their husband,
hug their man, lay right beside their man, pillow talking with their man while they done told you something totally different, and you and your man at home at odds, looking crazy.
I think that's the biggest hustle. I think that's the biggest hustle on black women. I know we supposed to be talking about black man stuff, but I think that's the biggest hustle on black women to hear all these podcasters and some of these musical artists that celebrate being single and then go right home to their husband and a big old house. I think that is the biggest hustle out there, and people are just blind to it. I think
go ahead.
When it comes to relationship podcasters and just education on relationships, preferably I would highly recommend seek information from those who got skin in the game. That's been married for years. Who have seen the ups and downs of relationships to where they was ready to cuss each other out and walk out the door, but figured out how to salvage that, because right now people don't know how to do that. They don't know how to argue fair. They don't know how to resolve arguments. It's just, I'm done. I'm going to go this way. You're going to go that way. Get resource and information from people who've been through it, is what I would say.
Fruit from the tree.
Yeah, fruit from the tree.
Yeah.
There's an elderly couple on YouTube. They talk about, I'll see if I can find a link and post it in here. Their marriage. And the man, he was talking about how, back in the day he used to be an alcoholic and he would have physically abused his wife. And a lot of women kind of came for him. But his wife chimed in and was like, I'm not gonna let y'all get on my man, because there's been times where I've been toxic too. I pulled a knife on this man, he got stitches, and she said basically the first 10 years of their marriage was very turbulent. It took a lot of prayer, a lot of counseling, a lot of, I can't blame him. That's what you said. I can't blame him and say that it was all his fault. There's been, I cheated before he cheated.
They don't want to have that conversation, though. They don't want to have that conversation.
Right. And she's like, so y'all come for him, make sure y'all come for me too, because I was wrong too. That's why we still together. I think they were like 38 years or something like that. They said we've been together 38 years. All of our kids are with us. We ain't got no outside kids, thank God. But it wasn't easy, and because she always talks about how a lot of couples feel like, she was actually talking about Cardi B the other day. She was just like, it's a lot of trauma with their relationship, but they need to keep their stuff in house. They need to stop airing stuff out on letting people know, because once you put it out on the social media,
you invite everybody in.
But I got a question, because I was trying to figure out how to articulate this, and I wanted us to talk about it on one episode. But is it me, or is the hashtag relationship goals not relationship goaling like they used to?
It's the monetary of it. You see somebody,
all these hashtag relationship goals that we've seen in the past on social media of women saying hashtag relationship goals. I want that. These couples not even together no more.
Right.
You see Jay-Z and Beyonce pulling up in Maseratis or something. Relationship goals. You see, what's his name? Sierra's husband. I forgot his name.
Russell
Wilson.
Russell Wilson buying her something. There's always something monetary.
Yeah.
Or a big wedding or something like that. It's never we're praying together, relationship goals, or we're sitting down and we're paying bills together, relationship goals. It's
Financial
never
literacy.
that.
We
It's
building a
always like
business
something glamorous,
relationship.
you know?
That's because nobody wants to talk about foundational stuff. It's not exciting. It's not hype. There's no hype to it. But when you
True.
can sit down and talk about finances, talk about each other's childhoods, talk about how can I help serve you? What do you need from me? No
Right.
one wants to have a conversation about that because that's not exciting. It's not fun. It's work. And that's what
It's
keeps
work.
marriages
Yeah.
together.
It's working. It's selfless.
Yeah, that's what keeps marriages together.
It's
This
working.
why
It's selfless.
all 2024 women, all first dates is gonna be at a coffee shop because you're gonna have to talk.
You know what? Come on, man. Go to the next
The
thing.
brothers have spoken. The
Go to
black
the
men
next
have
thing.
spoken.
Now
Hey,
what
you
we
speak it,
doing?
man.
What we doing? Because are we gonna save some of this
2024, all
content?
first dates for black men are gonna be at a
Yeah,
coffee
we
shop
gotta save some of this.
We gotta
because
save some of this
you're gonna have to
content.
talk. You're
Ty,
gonna have to have a real in-depth conversation to learn, like you said, Terry, about your childhood, your upbringing. You can learn about mine. You know, it's not about me spending $300 on a meal and then you going back with your to-go plate. Nah, we gonna sit down and have a real in-depth conversation and learn about what we have in common. Because if there's nothing that's in common, what's the point of date number two? That's just my thought. So, brothers, I'm helping y'all single brothers out. You know, and here's the thing: me and my wife is married. We still go to a coffee shop.
Yeah, nothing wrong
Get
with it.
back to the basics, you know.
We'll pull up to Dunkin' Donuts and get some coffee, and we pull up to Panera and get some coffee.
And if you
Now
don't
we
like
are not
coffee,
endorsing Panera or Dunkin' Donuts because they ain't writing us no check. But I'm just saying,
Well, we
these are
will
things
take
that we
it
do.
if you're right.
Sometimes that's needed though.
yeah. Well, not just coffee. You can go to get some tea or something if you ain't a coffee drinker. I ain't a coffee drinker, but
Get a milkshake, you know what I'm saying?
you have to make time for that type of stuff.
Back in the day, they used to do that. Go get a milkshake and a burger and sit down and talk.
Yeah.
You know,
Sit outside of Riverside Park.
man,
Man,
got that beautiful waterfront, and cats don't be
Yep.
walking. That was
They
like
don't
that was
want
my
to
little.
do that no more.
That was the secret to my success in the '90s. To take it
come
down to the
on.
waterfront, go for a walk, let the water shimmer. Let me talk to you for a second.
I'm not fooling with this dude.
Have you
This
seen the
guy's
Hyatt
wild.
inside? The suites are nice. Maybe one day we can, but for now, let's talk. Let's keep walking. That was the secret to success.
He doing too much.
That was it. You go go to McAdams Park.
See? Nah.
Nah, but it was simple back in the
But
day.
seriously,
Man, we lived
It
in a
was
time back
simple.
then. Do you realize
was
I could go
simple.
get a $5 bouquet of flowers from Quick Trip back in the day and take it to my lady and back then, and I was the best thing on the world. Now you can't do that.
I was about to say he giving up one of his plays.
I can't do that no more. I can't do that. I got flowers are expensive as hell now.
Right.
You a wild
So,
dude.
so the other topic we had here. Now, this might be a good one. Is your pastor your therapist, and are pastors qualified to be your therapist?
Man, I got so much to say about that. That's not no 5-minute conversation. You trying to launch episode 3 right now.
We might need to say that one for 3.
I will say this.
No way we can do no justice to that right now.
I will say this real quick. I don't want to delve into it, but I will say I always treated pastors and reverends and bishops like doctors. Every doctor has their own specialty. Some preachers can preach prosperity. Some are relationship cats. Some cats are, better for mental health. Some are ministers of music. It just depends on the thing. I really feel like it depends on the pastor. Because I don't want a pastor who is about his money telling me how to treat my wife, because especially if he's like his answer to solving his problem with his marriage is to buy his wife a new car. You know what I'm saying? Like,
or he ain't married. Or he
ain't married. Oh man, that's even worse. Like, what you gonna tell me about my relationship, bro? You ain't even in one.
I think the biggest issue that we've had is, the church used to be everything. The church used to be a one-stop shop for everything in our Black community. That's where the activism started. That's where, you know,
Yeah.
if you had some things that were lacking, you can come get some food. Ain't nobody telling your business. They used to be, you know, pillars in the community. And so in the past, we've gone to them for everything. And I think we've carried that same mindset of thinking that we need to go to them for to try to get our mental health done, to try to talk to them about our marriage and a lot of those different things. But I think the reality of that is, you know, there are ethical lines when you start dealing with mental health that can't be crossed. So dual relationships. If I'm your pastor and now I'm trying to help you with this, but I also need you to be my mechanic next week, those type of relationships tend to cross some ethical lines, and those aren't really permitted. So that's one issue with that. The other one is, especially your members, you start falling in love with who they are as the pastor of the church, and I think you let your guard down. And if some of these guys aren't really trained to help you with your mental health practice, and
Or
so
falling in love with them, but we ain't gonna talk
they're
about
giving
that.
you advice about your.
What'd you say, Marley?
I said, "Are falling in love with them," but we ain't gonna talk about that.
No, that's a whole nother episode right there.
Yeah, see, y'all going in too deep.
Yeah,
We
yeah.
just supposed to be on the
Yeah.
surface. You're supposed to be
Yeah.
on the surface.
Yeah,
Now shoot.
let me finish my thought real quick. But for that, you have pastors that are operating in mental health spaces. Some of the things that I really work with some of my clients with, they don't really understand the benefit of that until they get out of a place of trauma. And then they start seeing why we did certain things the way we did it. So if I'm your spiritual counselor, now I'm your mental health counselor, those lines can get really blurred really fast. So I'm not big on that. Although there are some pastors that are very successful with that. I know TD Jakes did some marriage counseling. We have some local pastors that do marriage counseling. I don't think that they do their members though. So I'm not going to speak on that. But there are some ethical lines with that shouldn't be crossed. There's some qualifications that it takes when you start dealing with people in their trauma that can get you in some trouble. If you open doors and you don't know how to help people transition out of that trauma, you leave them kind of lost in a space that if you're not professional, you can leave them in some trauma that's worse. You can make it worse for them.
Yeah. Denise Daniels put it in a comment that actually echoes what I was going to say. A good pastor will tell you up front that he is only qualified to a point, and he will help you find a professional.
Boom.
And to me, that is perfect.
Perfect.
Only to a point, man. Do what you can do. What you can't do after that, you need to point them in the direction of somebody that may be able to help them, or some kind of resources or something that they may be able to, go through to be able to help them, man. Because not everybody knows everything.
That is true. That's true.
And I think one thing.
Worse. Go ahead, bro.
I'll say I think one thing too is when it comes to that, you have to be careful because there are some pastors that do have the skill to coach and provide therapy because they went to school, have the credentials to do so. But not everyone does, and it's very important. And this is a statement that my pastor says: you have to have a pastor that knows how to do life more than they know how to do church.
Perfect.
They have to really help you navigate certain life struggles. And then two, you have to be have a pastor that's understanding that having a therapist is important. Because there are some that just, truthfully speaking, there are some pastors that just don't agree with that at all.
They don't.
Which is true, So you have to, be cautious, be careful, but just make sure if you do seek counsel from your pastor, make sure that they thoroughly have an understanding of therapy and they know how to do life more than they know how to do church.
And that they're not reinforcing the stigma of mental health issues.
Yes.
Some of them are afraid of losing people in their congregation to somebody that's a professional, but that's a different conversation. I've had
you can have Jesus in a therapist.
Absolutely.
They can have it. Nothing wrong with it.
I honestly feel like with any therapy in general, people really need to like make like we've been kind of preaching. They gotta go and seek that help because one person, especially the unqualified, is not going to be able to tell you what you need to hear. There's a lot of brothers and sisters that are dead and gone, never got their issues ironed out because they kept running to somebody that didn't know what they're doing. That's why I was saying that if you're a pastor that specializes in that, cool, I mean, that's why when I look for church homes, I always look for a church home that has a pretty good pastoral staff. Because the head pastor may not be able to do that, but this co-pastor might be able to do it, or this evangelist might be able to do it. That type of thing. I feel like, and that's one thing I'm really proud of. A lot of churches are kind of adapting to that teamwork thing, where it's like, okay, pastor can't do it, bishop can't do it all, but we got people that can. We can kind of divide and conquer in that sense. Back in the day, it was always one pastor. Pastor Johnson said that our relationship needs, I need to slap you in your mouth. That type of thing. I need to discipline you. And
dang it, man.
Misinterpreting words in the Bible and stuff, that's always been wild to me. But it seems like it's getting a lot better. Like church is a little bit more therapeutic than it used to be. So, but definitely get some help. Everyone out there, fellas, ladies, get some help. Talk to people. Do it like that,
For sure.
Okay, Terry, we got you. So Terry said we need to wrap it up. So
man, I gotta get these kids. I gotta get these kids together. Got to get these kids together.
So before we wrap it up, we definitely want to make sure that everybody is aware of. Again, this is something we always want to highlight on every episode of mental health resources that are available. You have the Black Man's Locker, which for Black men only, women stop trying to join. We also have Psychology Today. That is a great resource as well. You have Spring Health, which is one. Also partner with your employer to see if your employer, through your benefits, do offer counseling through options as well. I don't know if you have any more that you want to add on top of that, Terry.
Yeah, there's also, you mentioned Psychology Today. That is a good resource for you to be able to go on and look in your geographical area and filter down what you're looking for, whether you want a Black male therapist or a Black female therapist or whatever have you. You're able to go on there and find the filters that you need to get what you need. There's also therapyforblackmen.org. That is a site that has specific Black doctors maybe in your area that you also can use the filters to find someone that can help you work with whatever your issue is. Not everybody goes to therapy just for mental health. Sometimes they go for goals. They go for a lot of different reasons. Me and Ty are going to talk about that on another episode. But make sure that you have the 988 suicide and crisis hotline.
Yes.
If you have some struggles with depression or something in your life, make sure that you have these type of resources. And we're going to make sure that we get some more of that for you guys. And that's 988lifeline.org. And that's for, for our LGBTQ brothers and sisters. This may be something that, that you need to have as well as other oppressed communities. And the other one is centerforhealingracialtrauma.com. That's kind of self-explanatory, but that's offers some services and trainings for brothers who may have had something in their past that they want to kind of work through. So I think the last one I have is Black Mental Health Alliance. That's blackmentalhealth.com.
Well, good stuff, man. So we just truly thank everybody that has tuned in on today for our second episode. As far as our third episode, guess what? We're going to see y'all next year. So we definitely want to wish everybody a happy holiday. Definitely spend this time with your family. Love on each other, care for each other. And before the year is over, if you got any relationships that you need to repair, please do so. Don't take that into the new year with having unsolved relationships. So we signing off. Blessings, y'all.
Peace and light.
Blessings, everybody.